Alright, here's another update of the RM500. As you can see, I've got the frame completely torn down, and I was able to get the races out of the steering stem, out of the neck area. Every bolt that I tried to take off pretty much cooperated, except for the very last item that I tried to take off of this frame. So right here in this section, right there, there's a huge link that runs across there for the full floater suspension. The shock mounts to the top of the shock. It's actually this piece right here. So that big old chunk, this is the part that mounts up here between those two areas, and a huge bolt, it's like 9 inches long, runs through there. There's a sleeve, there's some needle bearings inside here, which is why I've got those taped up so I don't lose them. And that bolt was just completely frozen to the sleeve. I mean, it was totally frozen. I took the engine out of the frame. I put the frame sideways into my 20-ton press, and I still couldn't drive the bolt out. I was afraid that it was going to end up damaging these frame rails on the side. So I ended up chopping the bolt out. I actually got the guts of it right here. So here is the sleeve that would have sat right in there. There's bearings inside here and inside here. The sleeve fits in there. And then this is the old bolt that I chopped out. And yeah, this was just basically fused inside here. Once I had it chopped out, I took just this chunk to my press and was able to drive it out eventually. So I was able to salvage this collar, but I am on the hunt for another bolt, and that is probably not going to be too easy to find. So I don't know. I'll just search eBay and try to find some parts lots, I guess. But at least I can take the frame in to get powder coated, and I have a shock spring right over here. And even though the original colors would have been black, I'm going to do blue that'll match like the fork boots and the seat. And then here I'm working on the shock. You can see my little setup to hold the reservoir. And it all cleaned up pretty well. Everything came apart pretty well. We got it fairly clean inside of there. No real damage anywhere. I've got the guts of it over on the workbench. For some reason, this cap right here was unthreaded, and I don't know why, because you can see there's a little hole right there. There's one on the opposite side, and those holes allow you to put a spanner wrench in and crank that thing loose or tighten it. Those holes were full of mud, so nobody has been messing with those for a long time, but the cap appears to have just unthreaded on its own because the threads weren't damaged. I don't know. And nothing inside of here had been tampered with. You can see the peening on that nut has never really been messed with. So I don't think this has ever been rebuilt. The bumper was gone. There was no trace of a bumper. So now it will have a bumper, and I ended up with a brand new seal head. And I don't know if you can tell, it's a little bit different dimension. That is basically how they will both sit after you get the snap rings installed. So the outside ends up being about the same, but where the bumper on the backside is, it looks like I'm losing about 1/4 inch of travel because it's going to end up bottoming out here. So you can see that sticks out 1/4 inch. I don't know what this seal head is supposed to be for. I don't think it's originally made for the RM500, but 1/4 inch of travel is not going to probably be a huge deal. So get the nut off, pull all this stuff off and clean it. I'm going to replace the seal head, and this has got the new dust seal and oil seal inside. And then I've got a new bladder, and I'm not sure where it went because this is the old bladder, but you can see I did buy a new one. I don't know, it'll turn up somewhere, but I'm eager to get the shock rebuilt and start consolidating some of this stuff. If I can get the shock rebuilt and get the frame back from powder coat, then I can start assembling things, get the front end on it, and get the forks and the wheel on, and start actually rebuilding. So that's my update. Peace.